Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a palette ranking. So this is ranking my recent palettes that I've tried. This is something that I've been doing for a while. I think, originally inspired by Annette's Makeup Corner, but I know a few other people who do this as well, and I try to keep it at about 10 eyeshadow palettes, but sometimes I have a big influx or way too long, and it's more. So this time we are doing 15 eyeshadow palettes, although some of them might be grouped together. And that's a lot better than the 20 something I had last time. So really excited to get into this. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite soft spot for indie makeup and high-end makeup, which there is definitely indie makeup and luxury makeup here. And I tend to take a pretty analytical approach to the content I make, and I try to make thoughtful analytical content, and I have new videos every week, so I'd really love to have you subscribe. Okay, so before we get into this, I do want to say that I like all of these. None of these are at risk of being decluttered. Also, if you're interested in the makeup, I will have it all in the description box below. This is the second video I'm filming today, so this look will have already been on my channel as well. I did forget to mention that I'm wearing my T-Rex sweater. I haven't worn this in a while, but my T-Rex on. So I do want to say I like all of these. Couple of these I've gotten in PR. 1, 2, like 4 or 5 of them I've gotten in PR. But most of these I've bought with my own money, and I like all of these. So I tried to rank this just based on what I'm gravitating towards most. So like all of these I'm gonna keep, and actually one of the ones at the bottom, if not actually some of the ones at the bottom half are actually things that I use a lot, and I've used more than some of the ones at the top. But versatility wise, they're not as versatile and maybe as inspiring, but like they're really good for like a quick look, so I grabbed them a lot. So they almost ranked higher because of that, but I couldn't. So I also want to say before we begin that rankings were very hard for me, so I hope you enjoy this, because this was one of the harder ones that I've done, because I really love all of these. And I am an autistic Libra with OCD, so like making decisions is hard. I have changed my mind a few times while preparing for this, but I have to remind myself that it's just a thought experiment and none of this actually has any consequences. So now let's go on. Okay, so before I begin, I'm actually rearranging something. I think just because of how often I use one of these, I am moving it up a little bit. Okay, so now let's actually start. So in last place is going to be the Silent Night palette from Gourmande Girls and Doodles by the Bunny. Wow. Apparently my brain is just fried. It's been a very long weekend. Good weekend, but very busy weekend. This is a really pretty palette. I did get this in PR, and I do have an affiliate code with Gourmande Girls. It's just bones. It'll save you 10%. I really like this. I do have a video with this. I think it's a really beautiful palette. Cool neutrals with some blue. I do think these are both distinct, and I say that in the video, but I think there could be a little bit more difference in them. There's a couple shadows in here that I would maybe swap for something else, but I do think the formula is really nice. The mattes work well. The shimmers are all really pretty. Zero complaints about the performance. It's just like a few shades I would change, and then I don't really love the packaging on this one, but it's really pretty. Really like it. Really grateful that they sent this to me. I've used this a handful of times, not as many as some of the others, but really like this. Definitely, if you like this color story, I think it's worth it. So that is going here. Like I said, I like all of these. None of these are getting decluttered. It's more how much I'm using them and how inspired am I by them, kind of. Okay, so I have a correction real quick before we go on. I just said that this is gonna be in last place, but it's not. Forgot about the actual last 2 spots because I already decluttered them. So this is technically 3rd from last now. Set that aside. Already filmed some other stuff, but I'm just gonna have to edit this back in and front. So the actual last place spots are gonna go to the 2 alter ego palettes that I got in PR. So I will put pictures of them up here. So it was the the dupe for Retro Glam and their dupe for one of the Huda palettes, last year's Huda palette, not the 2022 Huda palette, not the 23. It was like Sahara, maybe, no, I'm forgetting the names. But the Sakura palette was the Retro Glam one. But those two palettes, I thought, I did get those in PR, and I'm very grateful for that, and I feel bad that I didn't like them. But I am very picky, like I've said before. So the mattes in those were really nice. I think they were definitely trying to dupe the matte formulas, so like they were different per palette. And I think I would rather see them just use their own formula, like perfect their own formula and just stick with that and kind of copy the color stories if they're gonna do that. But whether they lost me was the shimmers. They tried to dupe the Natasha Denona shimmers and mattes, and I don't think they were very good. I don't think they were fine for like a $20 palette. I think they were on par with the ColourPop palette. They were not on par with the Natasha Denona palette. And since I have all but two, it wasn't worth it. They weren't as shiny, they weren't as reflective, they weren't as pretty on the eye. The mattes were fine. The cream to powders were not as good as Natasha's. And then the other one, the dupe for the Huda palette, I liked the mattes in that, and I do have a video trying that one. I liked the mattes in that. I think they worked pretty well. The tones weren't perfect, but that's the color story, not the formula. And then the shimmers were either like on par with a ColourPop shimmer, which I don't like. Some people love them. I see a lot of people say that they do, and that's fine if you do. I don't like the ColourPop shimmer formula. There's something about like a drugstore shimmer that just seems, it's not really a satin. It's not like a good satin, but it's not as high shine as others. It's just kind of like, eh. And then some of them were like ultra crumbly and dry and got all over my face when I tried to use them. Both the few times I did, they got all over the palettes themselves. They were just a mess, and if I don't enjoy using the product, I'm not gonna use it. So I did give both of those away. So those are the bottom two palettes. So now let's move on with the rest that I actually have in front of me. Okay, so next is going to be the newest palette that I've gotten, and it is the new Florasis Nomad Glam. This is the Into the Wild palette. Really, really liking this. I've used this a bunch recently. It's just not as versatile as some of the other ones here, so it's just not ranking as high, but I think this is a really good intro palette if you were interested in trying them, because you've got some really sparkly shades here, you've got a nice, just like glowy shade here, you've got good mattes. I think this is a really well done, very me color story, like these tones, especially with this really glittery, sparkly blue teal shade. It's got so it's kind of more of a teal shade with like gold, yellow, white, darker blue sparkle. It's just really, really beautiful. So really like this. Definitely think worth the money. I mean, I did get it in PR, but I think the price is appropriate. Okay, so the next palette is going to be the other palette that they sent me. This is the Floral Engraving Phoenix palette in golden brown or gold brown. So this comes in a few different colorways. This is the golden brown one. I really like this. I don't really use this red shade that much. I have used it twice now, and I think it could be a pretty blush, but it's just, I don't wear a lot of red eyeshadow, but it's a really beautiful palette. So again, you've got kind of neutral, you've got light beige, kind of warmer yellowy, you've got kind of a satin red, and then this nice darker brown. You've got another copper. These are really beautiful, like white, gold, and champagne. And then you've got another blue that's sparkly, but not as sparkly as the other. I would say these are kind of tied, in my opinion. I didn't want to actually tie them, but I think pretty tied as far as how much I like them. I think this has more shades in it, so it like slightly outranks it. But the sparkly shades in this are really beautiful. So I think couldn't go wrong with either of these. Just really enjoy them. Really grateful that I have been getting PR from them. I think their products are beautiful. I'm wearing their blush today and their powder as well. So really, really like these. Okay, so next is another palette that I got in PR, and I want to put it higher because I use it constantly, but versatility-wise, I just couldn't put it above some of these other things. And it's gonna be the Surratt Beyond Beige Quad. So I don't think I've included this in another ranking, and if I have, it's just getting ranked again. I did look at my last one of these and I don't think I included it. It's basic. It's so basic and boring, quote unquote, but it's so good. It's the formula in this is impeccable. So this is a $100 quad. It's like $98. Did get this in PR, and I do have a code with Surratt. I think it's like Bones 15 or something, but I'll have it on the screen here. I adore this palette. I use this constantly. This is, if I don't know what I'm doing and I just want something, this is what I grab. Or if I'm using like a sparkly indie, like one of my sparkly shades from like my singles, this is what I'm grabbing to pair with them, because I've got a light neutral to put all over, a darker neutral to put out here for a little bit of shape. I can use this as an inner corner highlight, and this is like a soft satin lid shade. But because I use it all the time, this is probably gonna be, I mean, this is one of my most used palettes of 2023. I mean, we're in 2024 now, but like this was one of my most used palettes of last year, but because it's a quad of browns, I couldn't rank it above some of the other things that have like more colors or more options or more finishes. But if I had to rank this solely on the amount of times I've used it, this would be number one out of all of these. So that's how hard this was for me. Okay, so the next palette is one that I did buy. And it is another $100 quad. It's a $90 quad. This is a Tom Ford quad. This is the limited edition Velours Khaki quad that came out last year. I finally got this last month. I think it was in January. Could have been end of December, sometime in there. I really love this. I know this, some people said that it was too dark and I've seen all of the negative reviews, but watching those kind of confirmed that yes, this was the first one for me to buy, and I've wanted it since it came out. And when I went to Nordstrom and they said we only have 5 in the whole company and we're not getting more, I was like, well, buying it now. And I love this. So this shade, this is the cream formula, which I have now love. I want more of it. And they just came out with a new one that has like some like smoky blue tones that I really want. This shade is basically my skin tone, so it's not really one that shows up, but it's a good blending shade. So you've got more of a taupe sparkly shade here. You've got more of an olive soft sparkle here, and then this is more of a matte dark green. Generally, I will use this in the outer corner if I want, in the crease if I want it really smoky, but generally I'm putting one of these 2 shades on the lid or both, and then blending the edges with this. So I can do 3 looks, either both shimmers together or one or the other, using this to blend the edges. Quick, smoky eye. I was wearing this in one of my recent videos, actually. I don't remember which one, but like video from like a week or 2 ago. Really, really love this. The shadows being that cream formula, they just kind of melt into the eyes and they blend really nicely. I really love this, and I want that other new one that just came out. I don't remember the name, but I'll put it here. Okay, so the next palette is another one that is not that versatile, but I really love it and I've been using it a lot. And so I had it originally at the bottom of the list just because it's great, but like not that versatile. And then I was like, no, with how much I've been using it, I really need to put it higher. I just can't put it even higher than the other stuff. And it's gonna be the Moondust palette from Urban Decay. So this, they just announced is coming to Europe, I think, and maybe coming back here, I don't know. This was hard to get. I kept having it in my cart and it would sell out, and then I'd add it back in and sell out. I really like this. I love the Moondust formula, and I already had Space Cowboy, although this one is slightly different. And I love this. So Star Cowgirl is kind of, there's another one that they have in like the regular singles that's like an icy white. This is more yellow, so it works better for my skin tone. Space Cowboy, Tried and True. Wild Dipper Rides Again is a really pretty kind of rosy shade. And then Cosmetics Base Dust is a really pretty brown sparkly that just, it's like a perfect nude for me. Like when I wear it by itself, it's one of those, like in the right lighting, I don't look like I'm wearing eyeshadow, and then the light hits it and you see the sparkle. Really like that. I know some people would hate that as a vibe, but I really like that. So it's a little less dark than Lithium, which I also really love, but that has a little bit more color to it. This just blends right into my skin. I love this. I use this all the time, especially for work. So kind of like the Surratt quad, where it's like, if I ranked this based on how much I use it, this would probably come in second. But because there's just other stuff that's more inspiring or a little more versatile, it got pushed down. But love it. Okay, so the next thing is, I'm gonna put three things here as kind of a tie, because I think of them as kind of a unit, so I can't really pull them apart. And they are the first three ESUM palettes. So we've got ESUM, this is the number 1 Balance palette, the number 2 Intensity palette, and the number 4 Elevate palette. So these are magnetic and interchangeable, so I can mix them up, which is part of why I think that. And they're sorted in color and formula. So all matte, neutral shimmers, colorful shimmers. And because of how I use them with other stuff. I use the all matte palette with my singles, kind of like the Surratt. But because I couldn't like say like the matte palette's near the bottom because it's just all mattes, and then the shimmer palette's here, like I just couldn't do that. It was driving me insane. So I just had to lump them together. So this is the all matte palette. I don't need another all matte palette now. I've been tempted by the Viseart one, but really like this. So you've got more cool tones, more peachy tones, neutral browns, and then you've got gray, black, white, and then these mauve tones. Formula is impeccable. Not quite as much pigment as a Viseart shadow, but the same amount of like buildability. So like you might have to dip in a couple times. I mean, it's not like, I've used some shadows, especially like drugstore shadows, where I have to, or even ColourPop, where I'm like dipping in like 7 or 8 times to get it to look how I want. This is not, you don't have to build that much, but buildable. So it's really versatile because you can have it sheer, you can have it more pigmented, you can mix them, and it's just a pleasure to use. Really, really like this. I want to try more from ESUM. I want to try their blushes. I want to try their brushes. Like, I would like to try pretty much everything from the brand now because I really like these. And then this is the palette number 2, which is the shimmer palette, or the shimmery neutral palette. So it's the same thing where you've got cool, warm, neutral, grays, mauves. So these pair perfectly together. Really love this. You've got different finishes. So you've got satin, you've got more straight up metallics, you've got some more sparkly shades. You can see I've been using, I use the cool shades a lot. I've just been in the mood for cool tones. I'm wearing a different palette right now, but really love these. This is a really nice one and done kind of shade, like maybe bronzer in this or one of the browns in this. Really, really beautiful formula. And the fact that they're, if I want, I can create my own, and they're, you know, all labeled and I can mix them around. I wish they were the same size as the Lisa Eldridge, because then I would mix all of those, but they're slightly different. And then this is the colorful one. Really like this. Again, you've got different finishes. The iridescent ones here are really great because they're not as intense as like a Terra Moons or Jean by SD iridescent shade. So if you want colorful shimmers without as much intensity, love these. And then these iridescent shades are really great for like tapping over a look like this. Like I've used the green for that before, I'll do the blue. Like just tapping over and really just lightly modifying and adding some interest. Really, really love these. They just melt into the eye, last all day, zero complaints, I love these. So those are all just kind of lumped together in this spot because I just couldn't separate them. There's the blue, lightly swatched. They can be built up, but it just adds a little bit of something. just makes it just a little bit more refined, a little bit more special. The thing I'm learning about like this or the Surratt or the Tom Ford and why I'm gravitating towards them is just how refined and beautiful the formulas are and how they look on the eyes. I still love my indie shadows. I love my super sparkly Terra Moon shades and my indie palettes, but on day-to-day, I've just been gravitating towards these higher end things. These are very expensive. When I bought these, they were on a really good sale, so I paid like $150 for all three. But normally the matte palette retails for $80 and the shimmers are for $120. But after using the quality, like if you're someone that only buys drugstore, I wouldn't say go out and buy these. But if you're someone who buys that kind of makeup and this appeals to you, the formula is worth it in my opinion. Okay, so next is the Trixie Cosmetics Horse Girl palette. I love this. So this was their first palette to like instantly sell out. Like I had someone call me while I was at work and took that phone call for 5 minutes and hung up. And when I came back, it was sold out and I had to get the pre-order. So I didn't get this when it first launched. It took me a month and a half or so to get it, but I love this. I think it's her best palette. I did rank all my Trixie palettes and I'm pretty sure I ranked this as #1. Main character is a really pretty duochrome, just really beautiful. High Horse, perfect one and done. Shimmers are in here are great. It is definitely a warm neutral palette with these like clay tones, these terracotta clay tones down here, but really love this. Like I've been wearing a lot of cool neutrals like this lately, but I have a feeling when the weather starts to shift in like the summer, I'm gonna be grabbing this a lot more again. Love it. I think Trixie Cosmetics is highly underrated, and I think if you've been wanting to try them, this is the one to try. Okay, next is going to be the newest Nomad palette. This is the Nomad New Zealand Stargazing palette. So this was sent in PR, and I do have a non-affiliated code with Nomad, so it's Bones, saves you 10%. I don't earn any money, it just saves you. Beautiful, cool neutral to cool colorful shadows. Every shimmer in here is a multi-chrome, so you've got two iridescent multi-chromes and then some like darker ones, more shifty ones. These are amazing quality multi-chromes, really great mattes, really lovely, zero complaints. It's a little, you know, it's very shifty and very colorful, so I haven't been grabbing this as much as the couple things at the top, but when I'm in the mood for color lately, this is what I've been grabbing. So just love Nomad. I am a little biased. I'm a little biased because, I mean, one, they send me in PR, but even, you know, I get things in PR and I'll tell you if I like them or not. But the fact that I'm also like, I talk to the owners all the time, like I consider them friends. So like there's that bias there, but honestly, it's just so good. Okay, so the top 4 are next. And this is difficult because this is really hard. I think I'm sticking with my original ranking for these 4, and it's based on versatility. Just some of these have like more shades than others. So the next spot is gonna go to Lisa Eldridge's Cinnabar. I got this recently, really love it, really love Lisa's formula. Like it's really hard not to put this as in the top. The cream to powder texture, both, there's 2 matte formulas. There's Seamless Matte and the Velvet, and they both kind of feel like a cream to powder, but different types of cream to powder. I think it is my favorite, it is maybe my new favorite matte eyeshadow. The metallics in here are really beautiful. They're not overly sparkly, but they're not like super satin. They're just really pretty. The topper in this is really nice. I think people give toppers a bad idea. I think people expect like an iridescent shifty shade or like a Pat McGrath astral shade, and this is a more day-to-day version of that. Like you can get a nice soft sparkle in your inner corner, wear it on the lid over a matte. I think where people get wrong is they put this over another shade expecting it to be like an astral shade and shift it and make it this super glittery, and it's more refined than that. It's not, it's more daily friendly than that. Most toppers are. I like a topper shadow over like a liner or just over a matte, and I think this is really beautiful. It's just ranked a little bit lower than the other things because I'm basically gonna get only, I mean, I can mix and match my Lisa palettes, but like, you know, I'm gonna use the warm mattes and then pick a shimmer. So it's like a good reliable, and I grab for it a lot because of that, but it's not as versatile as the top things. So next is gonna be Lisa Eldridge Vega. This is hard not to put at number 1. Honestly, I wanna put this at number 1. So you've got, again, a mix of the matte formula. So you've got a black. This is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. It's really lovely black. This would make I've done it. This makes a smoky eye, like a black matte smoky eye, really easy to do. You've got this pale gray that like, on some people I've seen use it as a transition shade. For me, it's more of an inner corner or like a buffing the edges kind of shade because it's too pale. This is like my perfect eye contour shade. You've got a nice gray, like slate blue, and then 2 really beautiful shimmers. Like I said, I really want to put this at number 1. I've been using this a lot. It is what I'm wearing today, but the other 2 palettes I have right here are just a little more versatile, have more shades, and are slightly less expensive. So I feel like the price and versatility aspect of it makes them go to the top. And they're gonna be the newest Viseart palettes. I'll just spoil number 1 and number 2. So number 2 is gonna be Violette Vespertine. It is a really beautiful, more cool mauvey lilac-y shades. So you've got some wine tones, some more like lilac shades, some more mauvey neutrals, and then you've got 5 shimmers in here. So you've got like a pewter, like lilac-y champagne, a purple, a wine shade, a bronze. You just can do more with this. And it's like $40, not 60 something like this. So while this is getting more use in my day-to-day life, this I think just has to get the number 2 spot because price, formula, color story, all of that. And then number 1 is gonna be the Cashmere Charmeuse. I think this is my favorite Viseart palette now. It's got kind of rosy taupes and rosy taupe neutral tones. So you've got like rosy taupe, slightly darker taupe, rosy here, darker. This one's a little more brown, this one's a little more gray. You've got a bunch of different shimmers. You've got a really good soft gold inner corner shade, a like pinky champagne shade. You can go silvery pewter. You can go shifty. It's just really beautiful. Again, magnetic and can be interchanged with this or any other Viseart palette that's the same size. I'm really loving those like customizable aspects of some of these. But I think this has to get number 1 just because it's so good. And I think for like, what is it, like $43 or something? Great price, great color story, great versatility, great formula. Has to be my number 1. Okay, so that is everything. Let me know what you think of my ranking, what you think of these. Do you have any of these? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. As always, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps a lot, and I will see you all in my next video.